You've heard of the Clanton-Earp feud. You've heard of the Hatfields and the McCoys. But have you heard of the Graham-Tewksbury feud, aka the Tonto Range War, aka the Pleasant Valley War?
All right, folks, I am going to take you on a trip all the way back to 1882, Arizona Territory. We have two families, the Grahams, led by Patriarch Tom Graham, and the Tewksburys, led by Patriarch Edwin Tewksbury. Now, these families started out as friends. In fact, they helped each other build cabins in their first homes. But as time went on, the Grahams found that they had more of an affinity to cattle herding, and the Tewksburys had more of an affinity toward sheep herding. After a while, the two families began to disagree over water rights and grazing rights and, the usual things of the 1880s. So once we get into 1886, the Grahams and the Tewksburys began steadily upping their game. They started stealing each other's animals, killing each other's animals, but it wasn't until February 1st of 1887 that it finally became deadly for the non-four-legged variety. That's right, I'm talking about the first murder victim of the two-legged variety.
So tensions had been running high between the Grahams and the Tewksburys. And on February 1st, 1887, a sheep herder, we don't know his name, we do know he was of Navajo descent. He worked for the Tewksburys, and he was up here on the Mogollon Rim herding sheep. There had been a pre-established line where sheep herders could not cross. As he was here herding the sheep, apparently a member of the Graham faction, we don't know for sure, but some sources say it was Tom Graham himself, found him and shot him dead. He lies here in an otherwise unmarked grave. No name, and nothing else is written about him, other than he was a Navajo sheep herder employed by the Tewksburys. He was the first victim of what would later become the Pleasant Valley War.
Just 6 short months later, on August 17th, William Graham was out rounding up his horses when he was shot. He was able to make it home, where he unfortunately died from his wounds, but not before he identified Edwin Tewksbury as the shooter. William Graham is buried at the Young Cemetery in Young, Arizona. While the Graham faction initially sought to find Ed Tewksbury, Apache County Deputy Sheriff James D. Houck, who was actually a Tewksbury ally, publicly announced that he had been the one who shot Graham after he misidentified him. A jury didn't believe this, though, and instead found Ed Tewksbury guilty in his absence, but by then he had fled into the hills.
If you've liked this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, like, and subscribe to Wild West Adventures.
Be sure to tune in next time for the continuing saga of the Pleasant Valley War.